up, y'all? Okay. So I had to do this. I know that I'm not someone that goes live often, so I don't expect a ton of people to tune in. But if you're gonna catch a glimpse, I'm gonna try to keep this short so you can scroll through. But I had to get this out. I had to get this out, and I have to whisper because the baby's sleeping. But so some people, not everybody's understanding that we're in a food shortage, that there's, talk about wars happening, and that there's also wars happening and conflicts happening right now. So I have here the English Standard Version that I actually never have read out of my whole life. I've never read out an English Standard Version. I've always gone to the King James Version. But I was reading something about it, and the reason why I started to read this literally this week is because of the translation. And somebody I talked to was saying that, the translation has been translated by Europeans, and, he was concerned about that. But so obviously something has to be translated from the original language to English, because that's what we speak. And so apparently King James Version is translated from Latin. And if I can remember this, and the English Standard Version is translated from the Greek. Now, the Greek translation is more closely accurate to the English language than Latin to English. That one example is in Genesis. It talks about the firmament, and in King James Version, the word says firmament, which firmament doesn't even mean heaven, but they say it does, and we just kind of like accepted it because that's what somebody taught us one day, and that's it, right? And then, but in the English Standard Version, they use the word called the expanse, and that means supposed to mean the heavens, but they don't say that. It just means an expanse. So it's like the English Standard Version has a translation that uses words that are more literal instead of just like, oh, it's not like, firmament sounds like a heaven, so let's just call it a heaven. So I don't know. I don't study the translation process, but I do know that a translation from the Greek to English is more literal than the King James. So everybody tells you to read the King James Version. I'm going to start reading this English Standard Version because honestly, it just sounds better anyways to me. But the actual translation of the words, if you're interested in it, is more literal to English. So check this out. The scriptures say that the last days are going to be like the days of Noah. Well, no, I'm not saying we all know, but the majority of people know, just even from being a kid at Sunday school, or if y'all saw the Noah movie with, my favorite actor, what's his name? Russell Crowe. Like you saw him building the ark and nobody believed him. And then, all of a sudden the flood came and everybody's like, let me on there, right? And then there's all this chaos. They said it was going to, the Bible says that the last days are going to be like the days of Noah, right? So check this out. Hold on, I'm going to try to read this kind of fast. It says, no one knows the day or the hour. So if you heard my thing earlier, I was talking about, watch that movie, The Coming Convergence. They said that, true, nobody knows the day or the hour, but they said that we're going to know the time. Not the time of day, not like, you're not going to know an exact date, like a countdown, but there's going to be an event that happens where the next thing is coming. So you are going to know when, but that's when you have to start being prepared. So this verse is actually in Matthew 24, verse 36. But concerning that day and hour, no one knows, not even the angels of heaven, because it's not about knowing the date and the time. It's not like it's sealed in history, the date and time. It's going to be, these things have to happen before the end. Just like when Jesus was going to die certain things had to happen before. It wasn't like told 5,000 years ago, when the sun goes down, this is going to happen. It's like there has to be things that take place. Like Judas had to betray Jesus before for the process to start, right? So anyways, not even the angels will know. So people praying to angels for the future, and asking for crystals, and trying to like see the future, consulting with the dead, necromancy, I believe. You'll never know. Even the Mayan countdown, they used math, which is really smart, but you're not going to have that accurate count. And that's because signs have to happen. I mean, events have to happen. It's not a time clock. Like the doomsday clock they got up, it will never calculate like that. So, okay, not even the not even the angels of heaven, nor the Son. So Jesus can't say it either, but the Father only, because God will he commands that time of the hour. Like he knows all. He's omnipresent. He's just there. He knows. Okay, anyways. Sorry. For as were the days of Noah, so will be the coming of the Son of Man. For as in those days before the flood, they were eating, drinking, just kind of like we are now. Like, we're not even worried about it. Like, a food shortage, what? I can still go to McDonald's, and prices are going to be high, but I can still get that burger. They were marrying and giving into marriage until the day when Noah entered the ark. There's going to be a point where it's like, wait a minute, something's happening. You might not even know because you're sitting there eating. By the way, I had to stop eating at McDonald's. Another story for another day. And then they were unaware until the flood came. So Noah entered the ark, and they weren't even aware that the flood was happening until they were swept away, right? So will be the coming of the Son of Man. Now, this is really like cut and dry. This is probably what a lot of y'all were taught in church, is like, God's going to just come and take all the people away. But you got to keep reading the scriptures. There's more books than just Matthew that tells that there's a sequence of events. There's not just like Jesus is coming back and that's it. And he's going to take you away from all the pain. People getting swept away by the waters, and then the Son of Man comes. That's the indicator that we're going to go through so much stuff. Wars, famine, plagues, pestilence, all this stuff. The church is not going to be taken up. Besides the church is all kinds of crazy, period, right? So stuff's gonna, I'm not gonna explain why the light's blinking, but usually it only blinks when somebody was, I'm not gonna get into it, but Holy Spirit, protect me. Anyways, I must be getting something good. Let's get to it though, because I have some other book I want to read y'all real quick. So then it's going to be like this. So we're going to go through some things, and the Son of Man is going to come. Then 2 men will be in the field. This is the example what it's going to feel like. 2 men will be in the field. 1 will be taken and 1 will be left. 2 women will be grinding at the mill. You'll be talking to your girl. 1 will be taken and 1 left. Therefore, stay awake. Stay woke. For you do not know on what day the Lord is coming. But know this, that if the master of the house had known in what part of the night the thief was coming, he would have stayed awake and he would not have let his house be broken into. Come on now. So what does that mean? It means prepare. They're telling you there's a food shortage. Okay, prepare, because we're told that these things are going to happen. This book of Matthew doesn't tell about the sequence of things that will happen. That's not the prophecy. This is just Jesus talking to the people. But they don't even know that this is a far time off. They're just talking to Jesus. Jesus is speaking the word. Therefore, you must also be ready, for the Son of Man is coming at any hour you do not expect. He doesn't even know when. Jesus doesn't even know when. He's going to come when his Father sends him. You know what I mean? So, who then is the faithful and wise servant who is the faithful and wise servant, which should be us, whom his master, Jesus, has set over his household to give them food, to give them their food at the proper time. Blessed is the servant whom his master will find so doing when he comes. Truly I say to you, he will set him over all his possessions. But if that wicked servant says to himself, my master is delayed, like, oh, there's no Jesus, he's not coming, it's not going to be for another, 100 years. Don't get caught. Don't get got. All right. That, but if that means you're wicked, because you have no faith, you have unbelief, right? So if my master is delayed and begins to be his fellow servants and eats and drinks with drunkards, you just acting up because you think, oh, there is no God, kind of thing. All right, right? That light better stop blinking. That the master of that servant will come on a day when he does not expect him, and at an hour he does not know, and will cut him in pieces and put him with the hypocrites. In that place there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. So, Jesus telling his people, get ready. Now this is what excites me, because this, okay, when you read the Bible, you might just be like, oh yeah, I heard it. I heard the stories. I just want the preacher to tell me the quick story. Give me the quick version. Can we skip to the good part? Trust me, there's good parts. It's just not always in the Bible. I feel like they summarized it, but that's an account of a conversation Jesus had. The ancient book of Jasher is literally like a historical document. I read it like it's scriptures, but it's actually a historical document. It's mentioned in the Bible. So if anybody tells you, oh, you shouldn't be reading books like that, it's non-canonical, okay? If those people of those times were referring to these references to help them understand God and what they should be going through and how they should be conducting and who God is, I think I could read it too. Anyways, so we go to Jasher 6 that talks about the flood. And actually, it's weird how it's written in here. It's kind of like the Bible, but not really. But it said, in his 595th year, Noah commenced to make the ark. Can you imagine being 500 years old and God's telling you to make an ark? Or maybe he looked good for his age. I don't know. And he made the ark in 5 years, as the Lord had commanded. Okay, so it took Noah 5 years to build this ark. Do you think Noah sat there and kept a secret? No. There's other stuff about that time period where Noah, I'm not going to get into it, but there's giants and beasts and abominations and half human, half animal species that were roaming the earth. And you can watch the History Channel for that, because you act like that stuff did not exist, but it's even in the History Channel. Okay, but I'm not going to go there. You can Google that for yourself. So that's why God flooded the earth, not because people were so bad, but because there were actual abominations, and the world was in literal chaos. It was evil. It was like Waterworld on the land, and that's why God was he was done with creation, but he loved people, and there was a big story. There's a lot to go in here. One little verse could have 10 hours of discussion to go with it, but it took him 5 years to build the ark, right? So in that 5 years, Noah and probably other people were telling the people to get ready. Telling them to get ready. There's all this stuff happening, right? So there's abominations, and I don't think that Noah went around telling everyone he's building an ark, because the ark was not for people. It was for the animals. So there was a command, but at the same time, people were being warned about repenting, and that light better stop. People were warned about repenting and keeping God's commands. They didn't have the Bible. They didn't have the scriptures. They didn't have the King James Version and the English Standard Version. They had text, or no, they probably didn't. I'm sorry, they didn't have text. They had it was a different time then, where people's spirits, they were able to connect with God differently. I'm not going to get into that either, because ain't nobody asked, but I got books on that too. People just stopped listening. They thought, oh, we don't have nothing to worry about. We got everything we need. We could take what we want. You know, we've learned this secret. We've gained this knowledge. We've gained this wisdom. We don't need God. And then when they started creating all this craziness, God was like, that's not why I created you. And this is an abomination in my sight. So to be honest, God had to destroy the earth, the world as we seen it in the scripture. Because if not, they would have destroyed each other. And we would just been a wasteland of unruliness. We would have destroyed ourselves anyways. But so like in the days of Noah, it's like we are right now, where all these things are going to happen. Now, God will never flood the earth again, but he may, but the earth will be destroyed by fire. Now, check this out. God never said he's going to destroy the earth. So what does that mean? That possibly means we're going to destroy ourselves. We could have destroyed ourselves. I'm not laughing because I'm crazy. I'm laughing because, like, how crazy can we all be? We're going to end up destroying ourselves. Now, you guys heard about CERN doing that, like that whatchamacallit, the portal? No, not the portal. Sorry. That's what people are calling it. They did the particle accelerator. Well, they essentially created a wormhole of dark matter. They literally said that. It's not me it's not a conspiracy theory. I'm not making things up. That's what they said. So if anybody knows and they want to correct me, like, please do. But based on what the comments in the articles were saying, they just basically created dark matter. Like it's something good. They were excited about it. That does not sound good at all. Does not sound good at all. So we might end up destroying ourselves with fire. And if you watch that movie, The Coming Convergence, it also talks about that ongoing pressure of the nuclear blast about to happen. And it's going to be the Armageddon of the war that ends all wars. And they talk about how that's actually possible, and it makes sense. It doesn't sound like some big conspiracy theory like most of these documentaries have. This sounds like literally legit, like you see it happening. You see the threat of the certain countries and you're like, oh my God, that makes sense why they would be fighting over that. It makes it more clear. That's because we have new information. So that movie was in 2017. So like I said, if you heard me earlier, just skip to the good parts if you're not really trying to let it all sink in. All right. But so just like the days of Noah, nobody's going to really know. They're going to be sitting there happy and merry and just carrying on about their lives, not realizing what's happening around them. With all this access to technology, are you saying we can't go and see the news? That we've been in a food shortage, for at least 3 years, I believe. Well, if it took Noah 5 years to build the ark, that's 5 years' time that's 5 years that they had been warned that destruction is coming upon the earth back in those days. We've had 3 years from the World Health Organization, We've had 3 years about these things happening. The rumors of war have been happening since they've always been there. The rumors have always been there. But the wars that are happening and that may happen in the future, those are just the telltale signs. There's not a specific war, but there's a specific event that's going to trigger the next event in the prophecies. Now, I'm not here to give you all the prophecies because literally you need to go and look it up for yourself. I'm not here because that's what people do. They listen to all these people. Maybe you listen to YouTubers, which I'm not, okay? But they listen to all these people and they just get their ears full, but they're not getting their mind fed. They're not letting it sink into their they're not letting it sink in until where it's a call to action, a call to seek the scriptures and figure out what you need to do next. So what you do need to do next is prepare spiritually, mentally, get your information. What do you need to live? Do you have a family? If you have a family, why aren't you, getting food uh, uh, prepping for food shortage and famine, so that you can feed your kids? Maybe you're cool living off of ramen. Okay, get a few cases of ramen for when you can't go to the stores. I'm learning to dehydrate some food because you could purchase it, but I just want to do it for myself. You know, what is there that you, what is, what do you think you would need if you couldn't get it? That's how you prepare. So I don't need to tell you everything I'm going to do unless you want to know. But what I can tell you is that you can start with food. And then also prepare for something to where if you couldn't leave your house, what would you need? Do you need some solar powered lights? That would be a good thing, because you some people don't want to be fumbling with batteries. You know what I mean? So you can prepare that way. But just like in the days of Noah, don't stay asleep too long. You know, understand that things are going to start happening. And you have to prepare, and I can't tell you what that looks like. But what you could definitely do is seek within yourself, ask God, because you literally cannot sit here and tell me that you just think you are sitting here today because millions of years ago an amoeba turned into some slime that turned into a frog and developed some legs, and now you're a functioning, spiritual, thinking human being. You can't tell me that. You can't tell me that. If I ever, oh my God, I would get a whiteboard. I can tell you how much the scientific story aligns with the creation story from the scriptures. But I know that some people will say that the some of the information I got to go along with it, you're not supposed to use that because they told us not to use that in the church. Well, if you want to start taking out, if you want to be, tunnel visioned into only referencing one source, you'll never get the full picture. You'll always think that, oh, the Bible has so many holes in it, or there's not that, or there's not, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense because you don't have the whole story. If you have the whole story, you'll be more well informed. It will start to make sense. And when it starts to make sense, you ask questions. And when you ask questions, you make people mad. And they want to argue because all they just wanted you to do is go to church and then hand in that money plate. Can you just put your $10 and pass it down the row, please? You can ask Sister Smith these other questions. But Sunday, you come, you sit, you listen, and you pay the money, go home. But I bet you anytime you read for yourself and you start asking questions, people get mad. So anyways, ever since I did that live earlier, it's like it got stuck on my brain about the days of Noah, that the end times will be like the days of Noah. So don't think you got 2 more years just because it's been 3, just like in the days of Noah, and you think you got 2 more years left. Well, so what? What if you have 2 years? What if you have 10 days? It doesn't matter. You still have to prepare. Because like the scripture said, if you knew that when the thief was coming, you'd be ready. Be ready with that hayah. You would have took your karate lessons, right? If your parents told you, hey, on this day, it's gonna be what's that one movie? What's that one movie? Where they take away the law for the night? Or oh my God, what is it called? It's on the tip of my tongue. Starts with a D. No. It's that one movie. that's where there's no rules for one night, and then everybody just goes around killing each other without consequence. Let's say that you actually had one of those nights. Wouldn't you guys be ready for it? Wouldn't you lock your home down and maybe, you know, learn how to shoot a weapon, learn how to throw knives? That's my interpretation. Like, I would get, if I was gonna throw knives or prepare, you know, I'm gonna get one. I'd have it like an arm strap, so so I could just, and I make that noise with my mouth too. I'm just kidding. But yeah, I would be ready, and so would you, because if that was a real thing, you'd be ready. You'd prepare your kids. You prepare your kids. I'll prepare the baby. I'll make Wesley ready to yell and scream and fight. I'm gonna get my baby carrier on. Give Miss Binky. Throw knives. I'm gonna be prepared. And so should you. But more importantly, be spiritually, mentally and spiritually prepared. To some people, spiritually and mentally prepared. Because that's what's gonna help you when things start to happen, when things get real bad and when they get close to home. It will be sad, but it will be sad if people have no hope. They have no God. They have no knowledge. They will literally lose their minds. So, anyways, this was way longer than I wanted to be, but I had coffee, and you know how that goes. Well, you don't know that I get like that, but because I had coffee, I got super chatty. So, anyways, I wish I could edit these live videos, but oh well. Take care, everyone. Bye.